All right, get ready for a deep dive, everybody. We're going deep on some firsthand accounts of a chilling encounter with a Japanese spirit called Akaname.
Okay.
Our source material is a series of interview transcripts between someone named Alex, who's the interviewer, and Logan, who had this experience firsthand. Our mission is to uncover what Logan learned about Akaname, the rituals used to deal with it, and whether he was actually able to escape its grasp.
Well, what's really interesting here is Akaname isn't just like some, random spooky figure.
Yeah.
This spirit is deeply rooted in Japanese folklore.
Right.
And it represents a very specific cultural anxiety.
Okay, I'm intrigued now. So where does Logan's story fit into all of this?
So it all starts at the Yoshino Ryokan.
Okay.
It's a traditional Japanese inn, and Logan and his friends were staying there, and that's where things started to get strange.
Okay.
Particularly in the bathroom.
The bathroom. That seems like a strange place for a haunting.
Not necessarily. See, in Japanese culture, bathrooms are viewed as liminal spaces.
Okay.
Kind of like a threshold between the physical and spiritual world. Yeah. They're also associated with purity and cleansing. So the fact that Akaname is appearing in a bathroom, it kind of suggests a disruption of that balance. Like an intrusion of the unclean into a place that's meant for purification.
I see. So it's not just about like a fear of a dirty bathroom.
Right.
But maybe a fear of something darker.
Exactly.
Invading a space that should be safe.
That's it.
Yeah.
It taps into this deeper fear of vulnerability and the unknown.
Okay. So how did this all start for Logan? What were some of the first clues that something wasn't right?
Well, he describes this really old and damp bathroom at the Ryokan. And, the kind that just feels kind of off.
Yeah.
He starts to feel watched.
Right.
And he starts hearing these strange dripping sounds.
Ugh. Almost like something is crawling around.
That's already given me the creeps. It's one thing to feel uneasy.
Yeah.
But to actually hear sounds, that's another level.
Absolutely. And it's not just sounds.
Okay.
He starts finding these wet trails that are appearing throughout the Ryokan. They lead to and from the bathroom.
Right.
Like something unseen is moving through the space,
Yeah.
leaving this trace.
That's really unsettling. It's like those wet footprints you see in horror movies, except no one else is seeing them.
Right.
Yeah.
Logan's friends who are with him, they're either completely oblivious or strangely evasive when he tries to talk about it. Which adds this layer of isolation to his experience.
Right, yeah. So it's like he's the only one who can see what's happening.
Exactly.
That must have been incredibly frustrating for him. Like, no one is taking his concerns seriously.
And frightening, too.
Yeah, of course.
Because the isolation amplifies those feelings of vulnerability. Yeah, that makes sense.
Makes it even more terrifying.
So it's not just the creepy sounds and the wet trails.
Right,
It's this sense that he's alone in this.
Yeah.
And no one else is seeing it.
Exactly.
Wow.
It plays on this primal fear of being isolated and not believed.
Yeah.
Which is a powerful tool in horror.
So Logan is feeling increasingly uneasy. He's hearing things. He's seeing these trails. His friends are acting strange. What happens next?
Well, things escalate when Logan decides to explore the forest near the Ryokan.
Okay.
He finds more wet trails there, and they lead him to this old tree with a bloody cloth tied to it.
Wait, a bloody cloth? That's like straight out of a horror movie.
Right. Classic horror movie trope.
Yeah.
It's a symbol of danger and violence.
Right.
And it's meant to unsettle the viewer and create this sense of dread.
Of course.
And it works because Logan hears heavy breathing coming from behind the tree.
Okay.
And he decides to get out of there.
I don't blame him. But his friends still aren't buying it, right?
Yeah. No, they become even more evasive when he tries to talk about it.
Okay.
It's as if they're afraid to acknowledge it.
Right.
Or maybe they're hiding something themselves.
Ooh, that's interesting. Their behavior adds another layer of mystery to this. So what does Logan make of all of this? Does he have any idea what he might be dealing with at this point?
Not yet. But the answers are closer than he thinks.
Okay.
Later that night,
Yeah.
back at the Ryokan,
Right.
Logan overhears a conversation between two staff members talking about something called Akaname.
Okay, so this is our first mention of the creature itself.
Yes.
What do they say about it?
One of the staff members explains that Akaname is this spirit that inhabits dirty bathrooms and feeds on negative energy.
Okay.
She mentions that the specific bathroom that Logan has been encountering was actually the site of a mysterious death years ago.
So this isn't just a random spirit. It's connected to the history of the location, a specific event.
Exactly.
That left behind this residue of negative energy.
Yes, and it's interesting that she connects Akaname to dirt and negative energy.
Yeah.
It suggests that the spirit isn't just about physical filth,
Right.
but also about emotional,
Yeah.
spiritual impurity.
So it's like Akaname is drawn to places where there's an imbalance, a darkness that it can feed on.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder if Logan's own fears and anxieties are somehow attracting this creature.
Right.
Or making him susceptible to its influence.
So now Logan knows what he's dealing with, at least in theory.
Yeah.
But knowing the name of a monster doesn't make it less scary, does it?
Nope.
So what happens next? Does he confront this Akaname?
Not quite yet. The haunting continues,
Mm-hmm.
but it takes an even weirder turn when Logan starts experiencing these strange events outside of the ryokan.
Wait, so Akaname isn't confined to the bathroom?
Right.
Or even the inn itself?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
But before we go into that, let's take a closer look at one particular event at the ryokan that really solidifies Logan's belief that something is really wrong.
Right. I'm all ears.
It happens late at night. Logan is lying in bed, trying to ignore this feeling of being watched.
Right.
And he hears this soft, persistent knocking on his door.
Oh, God.
Not a normal knock, more like fingernails,
Oh, that's creepy.
tapping lightly against the wood.
Oh, that sends chills down my spine.
Right.
It's those little details that make
Yeah.
it feel so real and creepy.
It's the kind of sound that makes you think something is not right.
So does he open the door?
No, thankfully he's smarter than that.
Okay.
He peeks through the peephole, but at first there's nothing there.
Okay.
Then he sees this distorted, shadowy figure move quickly past the door.
Distorted? What do you mean?
He describes it as human-shaped,
Okay.
but stretched and elongated,
Okay.
almost as if it's not quite solid. It's a fleeting glimpse, but it's enough to convince him that whatever this is, it's more than just his imagination.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's one thing to hear sounds
Yeah.
and to feel watched, but to see something so unnatural must have been a turning point for him.
Absolutely. It marks a shift from those subtle events to more direct and visual confirmation that something is really wrong.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Logan, this is just the beginning.
Oh, no.
The haunting is about to follow him beyond the walls of the ryokan.
So what happens when Logan leaves the inn? Does the Akaname follow him?
Let's find out in part 2
Okay.
of our deep dive.
So we left off with Logan catching a glimpse of that shadowy figure outside his door at the ryokan.
Yes,
And you mentioned that the haunting followed him when he left.
it does. And the fact that it follows him
Yeah.
is really significant.
Okay.
Because remember how we talked about Akaname
Yes.
being connected to negative energy? Well, this suggests that the negative energy may be attached to Logan himself rather than just the location.
That's a scary thought. So it's like he's carrying this darkness with him wherever he goes.
That's a possibility.
Okay.
It's as if Akaname has latched onto something within him, something that it can feed on.
So where does this haunting manifest next?
Well, Logan and his friends leave the Yoshino ryokan, and they check into another hotel, hoping for a fresh start.
Okay.
But that night, those familiar dripping sounds return in his new hotel room's bathroom.
Of course they do. It wouldn't be much of a haunting if it just ended that easily, right?
Right. It's like Akaname is testing him,
Yeah.
seeing if it can reach him even in this new location.
Right.
And this time, the dripping is accompanied by another soft knock.
Oh, no, not the fingernails again.
Yes.
That sound is so unsettling.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And when Logan looks through the peephole,
Yeah.
he sees that same distorted, shadowy figure.
Yeah. Okay, so it's definitely following him,
Mm-hmm.
but his friends are still with him at this point.
Right.
Are they finally starting to believe him?
Unfortunately, no. They're still really skeptical,
Oh, wow.
dismissing his experiences as stress or exhaustion.
Okay.
It creates this tension between Logan's reality and the reality that everyone else seems to be experiencing.
That's got to be so frustrating to be going through something so terrifying and have the people around you doubt your sanity.
Absolutely. It adds this psychological layer to the horror, a sense of isolation and a fear of losing your grip on reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does Logan deal with this? Does he try to convince his friends, or does he just kind of ignore them and focus on what he's experiencing?
He tries to talk to them, but they're not receptive.
Okay.
And then something happens that makes it impossible for them to ignore what's going on.
All right.
They're on a train ride back to Tokyo,
Yeah.
and Logan sees something truly bizarre.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat now. What does he see?
He's looking out the train window,
Okay.
and he sees this small, shadowy figure
Mm-hmm.
moving along the outside of the train, right next to his window.
On the outside of the train?
Yes.
That doesn't even make sense.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it gets even creepier.
Okay.
The figure seems to be looking back at him.
Wait, so on the outside of the train, and it's looking at him.
Right. It defies all logic and the
Yeah.
laws of physics.
It's like something out of a movie.
Right. And that's what makes it so terrifying, because it suggests that whatever this entity is, it's not bound by the rules of our world.
So how do his friends react to this? Surely they have to believe him now, right?
You would think so, but they
Right.
still brush it off as a hallucination.
Oh, come on.
Maybe brought on by stress or lack of sleep.
Right.
They're clinging to their rational explanations, even when faced with something so inexplicable.
I guess it's easier to deny something than to accept that the world might be a lot stranger than we think.
Right.
So they arrive back in Tokyo, and I'm guessing this thing isn't done with him yet.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Back in his Tokyo hotel room,
Mm-hmm.
those dripping sounds return, this time from his own bathroom.
It's relentless.
Yeah,
It's like this thing is toying with him.
it's certainly possible.
Yeah.
And then, just when he thinks he's getting used to the dripping,
Okay.
there's another soft knock.
Oh.
But this time it's not coming from the door.
Oh, no.
It's coming from the bathroom mirror.
Oh, the mirror.
Yes.
That's just creepy. Mirrors are already associated with all sorts of supernatural stuff.
Exactly. In many cultures, mirrors are seen as portals, reflections of the soul,
Right.
or even gateways to other realms.
Mhm.
So the fact that the knocking is coming from the mirror
Right.
suggests that whatever is haunting Logan is reaching out to him
Yeah.
in a very direct
Ooh.
and unsettling way.
I wonder if that's Akaname's way of communicating with him somehow.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But what happens next gives us a little bit more insight into the nature of this entity.
Yeah.
A shadow moves under the bathroom door, and this time, Logan, instead of backing away, decides to confront it.
Wow. That's a bold move. I would have been out of there in a heartbeat.
It is a brave or perhaps foolish decision,
Yeah.
but it shows this shift in Logan's attitude.
Okay.
He's no longer passively experiencing these events.
Right.
He's taking control, trying to understand and maybe even challenge this entity.
Yeah, he's taking charge.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when he opens the door?
He sees that the bathroom floor is completely soaked, and in the dim light, he sees this small, shadowy figure with this wet, slimy look crawl down the drain.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Right.
So he's not only dealing with a creepy spirit, but also, like, bathroom hygiene issues.
Not a pleasant encounter.
Yeah.
And that description of it being wet and slimy
Right.
further emphasizes Akane's connection
Right.
to water.
And uncleanliness.
So what does Logan do after seeing this thing literally crawl down his drain?
He's understandably freaked out.
Yeah.
He wakes up his friends,
Okay.
and they check out of the hotel first thing in the morning.
I mean, that's kind of the most logical thing to do in that situation. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But fleeing doesn't really solve the problem, does it?
No, not if this thing is attached to him. It's going to follow him wherever he goes.
You're absolutely right, and that's exactly what happened.
Oh, no.
Even back in his own home in the U.S., Logan can't escape the haunting. He starts hearing those dripping sounds again, this time in his own bathroom.
He can't even find sanctuary in his own home. So what does he do?
Well, he's not giving up without a fight.
Okay, good.
He realizes he needs to understand this entity
Right.
if he wants to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So he starts researching, diving deep into the legends and folklore surrounding Akaname.
That's smart. Knowledge is power, right?
So maybe by understanding this creature, he can find a way to protect himself.
Exactly. And through his research, Logan uncovers some really crucial information.
Okay.
He learns that Akaname isn't just drawn to physical dirt, but to places where bad things have happened.
Oh, okay.
Places filled with negative energy,
Right.
like fear,
Okay.
anger, or sadness.
That's interesting. So it's like a spiritual parasite feeding off of the darkness in a place or even a person.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And this discovery leads Logan to this crucial realization.
Okay.
his own fears and anxieties might be making him a target for Akaname.
So the more you fear it, the stronger it becomes.
Exactly. It creates this vicious cycle.
Yeah.
The haunting feeds off his fear, and his fear makes the haunting worse.
So what does he do?
Well, armed with this new knowledge, Logan decides to take action.
Okay.
He learns about these traditional Japanese rituals that are used to ward off evil spirits and decides to try them himself.
So he's going on the offensive. What kind of rituals are we talking about here?
Well, he starts with simple things like cleansing his space with salt, which is believed to have purifying properties in many cultures.
Right.
He also tries to meditate to calm his mind and reduce his own fear, which he knows might be feeding Akaname.
It's like he's trying to starve the creature by cutting off its energy source.
That's right.
But does it work?
There's a slight improvement, but it's not enough.
Okay.
He still feels uneasy, like something is watching him.
Right.
And then he has this really vivid dream that sends him right back to the source of the haunting.
Another dream? What happens in this one?
He dreams he's back in that same bathroom at the Yoshino Ryokan.
Oh, God, okay.
One where he first encountered Akaname. The sink is filled with this murky water and this small shadow resembling the figure he saw crawl down the drain stares back at him with these jet black eyes.
Oh, God, it's like it's taunting him.
Right.
Like reminding him that it's still there.
It's definitely a sign that this isn't over.
Yeah.
When Logan wakes up, he knows what he has to do.
What's that?
He has to go back to Yoshino Ryokan.
Oh, back to the Ryokan.
Yes.
That's where it all started.
That's right.
Why would he go back to this place? It's clearly, like, infested.
It might seem counterintuitive, but Logan has learned that Akaname feeds on negative energy, and he suspects that that bathroom in the Ryokan is a focal point for that energy.
Okay.
Maybe he believes that by going back to the source, he can somehow disrupt that flow of negative energy and break the cycle of this haunting.
So he's going to cauterize the wound.
Yes.
But going back to that place is a huge risk. What if Akaname is even stronger there?
It's definitely a dangerous gamble.
Yeah.
But Logan is running out of options.
Yeah.
He's tried everything else, and the haunting just keeps following him.
Right.
So he feels like this is his only chance
Yeah.
to truly break free.
So he packs his bags, books a flight back to Japan, and prepares for a showdown with this ancient spirit. I'm guessing this is where things get really intense.
You could say that. But before we dive into Logan's return to the Yoshino Ryokan, let's take a moment to analyze what we've learned so far about Akaname.
Okay, I'm ready for this deeper dive. What insights can we glean from Logan's experiences, and his research into Japanese folklore?
Well, first of all, it's clear that Akaname is more than just a spooky monster.
Right.
It's this creature that's deeply embedded in Japanese culture. It reflects a very specific set of anxieties and beliefs about purity, cleanliness, and the unseen world.
We talked about how bathrooms are viewed as these liminal spaces in Japanese culture.
Exactly.
And how Akaname's presence in a bathroom signifies a disruption of that balance.
That's right. And remember how Logan learned that Akaname is drawn to places with negative energy?
Yes.
This suggests that this creature represents a deeper fear of spiritual impurity.
Right.
Of the darkness that can linger in a place or even within a person.
It's like Akaname is a manifestation of those negative emotions, feeding off of our fears and anxieties.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And it raises some really interesting questions about the nature of fear.
Yeah.
If our own negative emotions can attract or empower these kinds of entities, then what does that say about our ability to control our own experiences?
That's a deep thought. It makes you wonder if we're all carrying around our own Akanames, so to speak.
Right.
Feeding them with our worries and our anxieties.
Absolutely. It highlights the importance of understanding our own inner landscapes.
Yeah.
Confronting those negative emotions that might be making us vulnerable to these unseen forces.
So it's not just about warding off these external monsters, but also about cultivating inner peace and balance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe that's one of the key lessons that Logan learns through his encounter with Akaname.
Right.
But we'll have to wait until part 3 to find out if he's successful in applying that lesson and finally breaking free from this haunting.
All right, so last we left off, Logan was headed back to Japan, ready for round 2 with this Akaname. He did his research, he tried some rituals, but it's clear that he needs to confront this thing at its source, back at the Yoshino Ryokan.
And that decision to return to the source is so important.
Yeah.
You know, it shows his self-awareness and willingness to face his fears. Remember, running away didn't work.
No.
The haunting followed him across continents.
He did.
Now he's choosing to confront it directly.
Right, yeah.
To go back to where it all began and try to break the cycle.
He's going into the belly of the beast. It's a risky move, but it also shows a lot of courage.
Absolutely. He's not just a passive victim in this story anymore. He's actively seeking knowledge, understanding this cultural context, and taking steps to reclaim his power.
So he gets back to the Yoshino Ryokan, and I'm guessing things have changed since his last visit.
They have, yeah. The staff's different, the atmosphere feels heavier, and the room where he first encountered Akaname is even more unsettling than he remembers.
Oh, wow.
It's like the place itself is holding its breath, anticipating this coming confrontation.
So the negative energy has been building, waiting for him. Okay, so what's the plan? Does he just barge into the bathroom and hope for the best?
Not quite. He's learned from his research, and he's come prepared.
Right.
He's brought special amulets, incense. He's memorized ancient prayers, all designed to ward off evil spirits and purify the space. He's also brought a friend for support.
Oh, that's good.
Someone to ground him and remind him that he's not alone.
Yeah, having somebody there to witness what's happening can really help maintain a sense of sanity when you're dealing with something that's really challenging your understanding of reality.
Absolutely. And the presence of a friend also kind of underscores this idea of shared experience.
Right.
It's not just happening in his head.
Right.
There's someone else there to validate it.
Okay, so they're in the room, they got their amulets, the incense, they're ready to face this thing. What happens?
They wait until midnight.
Oh.
A time when the veil between the world is said to be thinnest.
Right.
And they begin the ritual.
Okay.
Logan lights the incense.
Okay.
The air fills with this thick, sweet smoke, and he starts chanting these ancient prayers.
Okay.
His voice echoing through the quiet room.
Right.
His friend, following Logan's instructions from a folklore expert, carefully sprinkles salt around the bathroom, creating this protective circle.
They're creating a sacred space, like a barrier between themselves and the negative energy.
Precisely. You see, the ritualistic elements, the chanting, the incense, the salt, all serve a purpose.
Right.
It's not just random actions. These are rooted in centuries of tradition and belief, designed to invoke this sense of power and control in a situation that feels chaotic and frightening.
And how does Akaname react to this? Does it just sit back and let them purify the bathroom?
Not exactly.
Okay.
At first, it seems like the ritual is working.
Okay.
The atmosphere in the room feels lighter, the air less oppressive.
Okay.
But then the lights start to flicker.
Oh, here we go.
This familiar sign that Akaname is aware and not happy.
It knows what's happening.
And then they hear it.
Oh, God.
That soft crawling sound beneath the floorboards, signaling Akaname's approach.
It's like the sound of something violating a space that it shouldn't be in.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a reminder that this entity is not bound by the rules of the physical world.
So how do Logan and his friend react?
Well, they're terrified.
Yeah.
But they don't give up.
Okay.
They continue chanting the prayers, their voices growing louder, trying to drown out the crawling sound and maintain their focus.
Right.
The air grows heavy, making it hard to breathe, and this cold, damp feeling spreads through the room.
It's like Akaname is pushing back, trying to disrupt their ritual.
Exactly. It's this battle of wills now, a clash between ancient tradition and this raw power of this ancient entity.
And then what happens next?
The bathroom door, which they had carefully closed and sealed with salt, slowly creaks open.
Oh, God.
It's like an unseen hand is pushing against it, defying their efforts to contain it.
Yeah, it's like Akaname is saying, you can't keep me out.
Right, like this is my domain.
Yeah.
It's this chilling reminder that despite their preparations and their rituals, they are ultimately facing something much older and powerful than themselves.
So what do? Do they try to escape?
In the flickering light of the room, they see this small, wet figure emerge from the shadows. It's Akaname.
Okay.
Its form more defined than before. Its eyes glowing with this eerie light.
It's finally showing itself.
Yeah.
But why now? Why during the ritual?
It could be a sign of aggression, a way of intimidating them, or maybe it's drawn to the energy they're generating.
Right.
The power of the prayers, the protective circle.
It's a showdown. What happens next?
Logan, remembering the folklore expert's warning that fear feeds the Akaname, pushes down his terror and focuses. He grabs the special amulet, one designed to repel evil spirits and seal negative energy, and he rushes to the sink. Remember that strange symbol?
Yeah, the one he saw under the sink.
Yes. It's still there. Faintly visible beneath the grime.
Right, and it seemed to be losing its power to contain the Akaname.
Exactly. Logan believes that by placing the amulet on the symbol and reinforcing it with the power of the ritual, he can reestablish the barrier and trap Akaname.
He's going to fix the lock on the door.
Yes.
But does it work?
As he's about to place the amulet on the symbol, Akaname lunges at him.
Oh, God.
Its claws reach out.
Oh.
Its presence is so close that Logan can smell this stale, rotten odor, like the air in a tomb.
It's trying to stop him from completing the ritual.
It's a desperate attempt to maintain its hold, to protect its source of power. But Logan, fueled by adrenaline and determination, manages to place the amulet on the symbol and sprinkle it with the remaining salt.
Okay, so what happens?
A blinding white light erupts from the sink, filling the bathroom. Akaname shrieks, this high-pitched, agonizing sound. Logan and his friend shield their eyes, overwhelmed by the intensity.
That's incredible. It's like all of this energy, the ritual, the amulet, Akaname's desperation. It's all coming to a head.
It's a clash of forces, a battle between light and darkness.
Wow.
And then silence. The light fades. Akaname's form dissolves into these wisps of shadow, and the bathroom is quiet.
It's over. Just like that.
It seems so. Logan and his friends slowly lower their hands and look around. The bathroom is still damp and grimy, but that oppressive feeling, that sense of being watched, is gone.
So the ritual worked?
It appears so. They leave the bathroom, lock the door behind them, pack their things. And as they leave Yoshino Ryokan, there's this sense of lightness, a feeling that a weight has been lifted.
So is it a happy ending?
Well, Logan's story is still unfolding. But he believes he's done everything he can to break free from Akaname's grasp. He's learned about the power of these ancient rituals, the importance of facing his fears, and the interconnectedness of energy and belief.
He learned a lot.
He did. He's also gained a deeper understanding of Japanese culture and the ways in which folklore reflects our anxieties and our hopes.
It's a really incredible story. It leaves us with a lot to think about. If negative energy can attract spirits like Akaname, are there similar beliefs or practices in other cultures?
Those are great questions. And they highlight the universality of this experience. While Akaname may be specific to Japanese folklore, the themes it represents, fear, anxiety, the struggle for balance, these are common to all cultures.
It makes you wonder if we all have our own Akanames, so to speak, lurking in the shadows, feeding off our negativity.
It's a powerful thought.
But like Logan, we have the power to confront those fears.
Absolutely.
To learn from ancient wisdom and reclaim our power through ritual and self-awareness.
That's right.
And maybe by facing our own inner demons, we can create a world where those Akanames fade back into the darkness.